Hey guys, Wade here. So, I was wrong. I was wrong. And I wanted to be the first one to tell you why I was wrong. Okay? A few days ago, I publicly stated that I felt that the bottom was in. Firmly still believe that it could still be 30K. Weekly support is at 31,000. The daily support is at 36. Okay, both the 3 and the 4 hour are still sitting on the bottom Bollinger Band. So all of the technical indications to me seem solid. However, when I woke up this morning to prepare our usual Sunday news video and, give you this great information on the blockchain nation, I got lost in the Russia and Ukraine rabbit hole. Okay. I got lost in that rabbit hole and it what I discovered what I discovered might be a little bit contrary to what other content creators are telling you today. But what I found out is that this is a situation in which we can't control. Okay? However, it is not by any means the end of the game. We have been talking a lot on this channel about 2022 being a year that we would not expect. A year full of surprises. If you really want to get, deep into it, we talk numerology. The number 2, very powerful. Very powerful. In certain circles, they call it the wild card. So going into 2022, I wholly expected the unexpected. Well, you check the headlines, guys, we may be here. Now, here's something else that I want to share with you. A few weeks back, I was looking at the charts. This was right before the bottom kind of set in, okay? Right before we got that decent little rally at the beginning of February. I was looking at the charts and my usual indicators showed me something that I could not comprehend. I'll admit it. Okay? I could not figure it out. I thought it was a glitch. I refreshed my trading view, refreshed the screen several times. I called people and was like, dude, look at the charts, look at these indicators. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Am I freaking out? Turns out I probably wasn't. Okay? And it's because what I saw on the charts was an event. I didn't know what the event was, but I saw an event. Okay? And this event mathematically showed the potential for quite the significant crash. Okay? But when you take a look at the macro, the surrounding information, after really taking it in all day and all week, this thing between Russia and Ukraine, as far as the US goes, has been around for a long time. It's been going on for a few months. But the conclusion that I have come to is this: it's out of our control, and it's almost going to happen whether whether we resist it or not. Okay? And I find the reaction in the markets to be so interesting. So very interesting, because that same thing that I saw weeks back on the chart is here again. Okay? Now, I did not, and this is another reason why it took me so long to put this video together, but because I don't want to scare anybody out of the market. That is what they want to happen. Okay? Because if this conflict does take off, if it happens, and I'm saying if because I found another article today from January 27th of this year. There is a treaty, okay, There is a treaty that was signed that has been in place since 2014 between Russia and the Ukraine. Okay. In January, they had a meeting in Paris, France, that excluded the United States, where they made this decision. There's no need for us to go to war. Ultimate ceasefire. We're stopping it right now. That is why you see in our media, in crypto media, you see the Ukraine and Russia on the side of Bitcoin. Okay? Now, again, these little elements is what I've been taking in all day. All right? And to put it together in, our typical presentation package would have took a little bit longer, and I really wanted to talk to you guys today before we got into the next week, okay? Because of course this is the close for the week. As of time of recording, we're sitting at about 38.1 right now. I got, still got the battle station up and running. It's just today was one of those days, guys, where the information that was coming could only be sent back out in a raw form. Okay. So, like I was saying, a few weeks ago, I saw an event on the chart. Could not call what the event was, but the rumors were swirling that it was going to have something to do with Russia and the Ukraine. All right. So, we just let things play out. The market starts to go the other way. I come out here and state that the bottom is in. And we were rolling. We were rolling. And then here's the thing. Within the moment, we're still in a good position. We're still in that position, but here's what I'm thinking, guys. Here's what I'm saying. If sometime next week they decide to pull this trigger, I can't tell you how far down this market is going to go precisely, because, and here's something I was thinking about too. Last time we had a global conflict, I don't think we had a crypto market, okay? Because we had to think, prior to 2012, our most recent conflict was, in the Middle East. We just had traditional stock market then. Now, yes, in 2009, 2010, we got, Bitcoin and whatnot. But by that time, the whole war in the Middle East was kind of tapering off. Really was. So it's not like Bitcoin came about in 1999, and by the time it got popular in 2000, 2001, then the whole thing with the Middle East broke out. That's not what's going on. Okay? What happened is that we had this new financial asset come into existence in between war times. And I was talking to my brother a few hours ago, very, very, very prominent individual, young black business owner. And he pointed out something to me. He said, with wars often comes a change of currency. Comes to change of currency. And, we're texting and I'm looking at the message and I'm like, bro, you make a very, very strong point, because it ties into what we were talking about towards the end of last year, guys. Everybody's still all excited about the metaverse, but I immediately changed the direction towards ISO, towards the payment, towards utility, because I knew what was coming around the corner. Okay? This would tie into what we have been saying, guys. It would really tie into what we have been talking about, because if you know how we as humans work, all right, we have to bump our heads before we find a solution to what bumped us on the head. So we've mentioned it several times before: problem, reaction, solution. I can't call what the problem is because it might be too massive, but the reaction is the redness that we're seeing in the market. And then I think a second level to this reaction is going to be that change that we were talking about, because some people call it the flippening. I have been calling it the change in narrative for Bitcoin, where we go from a store of value asset, from a protection against inflation, a hedge against inflation, to being a pure utility coin, which will kick off the utility value in the rest of the market. Okay? Let me explain it to you. We have currently, right now, geopolitical tensions between Russia and Ukraine that is affecting the market, right? However, in the last 3 months, both the Ukraine and Russia have pushed forward to creating or using Bitcoin as a form of currency within their nations. Okay? As a legally backed, taxed, whatever you want to call it. They're both pushing for Bitcoin to be that. Then, in the last 3 months, we've seen legislation here in the United States from different states, Colorado, California, New York, all trying to do the same thing, make Bitcoin legal tender. The Lightning Network, we have it. It's ready. It's being used. It's on Cash App. The Lightning Network is what's going to allow for Bitcoin to become a global payment utility token. But here's the thing here. Here's the reality of it. How do we get there if not through conflict? Okay? How do we get there if not through conflict? Well, we could take the happy side, the optimistic approach, and be like, well, we'll see. I can't even find any. If you guys can, if you can find a silver lining in this scenario, please put it down in the comments. But what I'm saying is, guys, the technicals have illustrated that an event is upon us. The mainstream of media is illustrating that an event is upon us. And here's what's so crazy. I got a couple more points for you. So you're still here. God bless you. You're out of this world. But a couple more points here. And I just pulled this one from a video I was watching, Russell Brand, on this same subject. Lockheed Martin, last year, we found out, did a deal with IoTX, Internet of Things project. It was mainly centered around that pebble. Spin it around a little bit. A few weeks later, if you're looking in different media sources, Lockheed Martin has been very outspoken about this war and the profitability of it. So you got Lockheed Martin working with an IoT crypto. Another thing that comes out of conflict is technological innovation. It has happened every time we have gone to war. Every time. What's the biggest technology that we have been seeing develop prior to this? Blockchain, IoT, the metaverse, payments, cross-border payments, digital transactions, right? Here's another interesting scenario, guys, and we'll leave it at that. Was getting a piece of information. I found out that the Russians and the Ukrainians are responsible for 26% of global wheat production. Now, that sounds like a very small statistic, but when you think about everything else that's happening right now, how drastic that could really be if these two nations decide to get into a conflict, right? Or, here's one for you. If the United States says that the conflict has kicked off, and because such, then we now have to change different tariffs and taxes and impose these certain things on your supply chain. So that way that wheat at 25% kind of dwindles to about 12. Okay? That also ties in other situations that's going to affect commodities. That's going to affect other parts of the market, guys. But see, there's something bigger going on here. If the conflict kicks off, okay, when we go into war, and I gathered this information from Repeat After V, very small but very, very dope YouTube channel. You should check that out. When we go into war, what tends to happen is that The whole inflation thing kind of goes out the water. Okay? The dollar is what becomes the focus, right? This isn't a typical wartime scenario. The dollar is the focus, of course. You're using it to buy weaponry, so forth and so on. However, the three parties involved with this conflict have more Bitcoin than most people actually realize. So, what we actually have playing out, ladies and gentlemen, is Bitcoin is about to get ready to go to war, right? Which brings me to this next point here. Charts are saying, like I said, weekly resistance, we're at 31 right now. Daily resistance is sitting at 36. Both the 3 and the 4 hour are bottomed on that bottom Bollinger Band. That's sitting us at about 35, okay? But when you look at that monthly chart, guys, and that lower band takes us down to $4,000. Okay? Takes us to 4,000. So that's worst case scenario. That's in the event that, the wartime scenarios play out like they did in the past and more people feel more comfortable putting their money in the dollar. However, we're in a completely different time. People's faith in the dollar leading up to this was already gone. So, the thinking, especially of us millennials, our thinking now is, okay, if we do go into conflict, they're going to use mostly dollars to fund these war efforts and do all of this stuff, right? So that's going to further decrease the value of the dollar, which will just make Bitcoin more attractive. And we already saw in 2021 that the majority of Bitcoin holders, crypto enthusiasts, crypto investors, 85% of them came in last year. Okay? And the majority of that were corporations, institutions, your Googles, your Walmarts, your Disneys, your Microsofts, your IBMs, things like that, right? Them same nations also profit from conflict, and they can profit from it greatly. Okay? They can profit from it greatly. Now, this video is definitely going to be a longer one, but it was a lot of things that I had to say. But I want to close this out by just stating this. I'm going to give you my scenario of what I think is going to occur over the next 8 to 12 months. Because I'm watching the press release from Friday that Biden made where he stated that they're pushing us closer towards a year-long conflict. Like, whoever they got in as Biden right now, he is not good. He is not doing his job as he should. Okay, because he's revealing way too much. They are, us Americans, funny, are saying that the Russians are over there executing false flag attacks. Anyway, so he's revealing the game and all the puzzle pieces. So this is what makes me think that if this pops off, it's something we're going to deal with throughout 2022. So let me give you a golden scenario, the silver lining, if you will. Like I alluded to before, typically in wartime, everybody puts their money into the dollar. The US dollar is the strongest. But in previous wars, we did not have a digital currency. We did not have a strong enough alternative to the US dollar to go to, for the people to go to. We have already seen that the Ukrainians and the Russians are actively using Bitcoin. There are several news stories that'll tell you that the Ukraine are using crypto to bolster their defenses. Come on now. So here's what we're looking at here. The ultimate paradigm shift. The moment in time that I said was coming, I just couldn't pinpoint when. It's going to look like this. The conflict breaks out, and we go into, combat. The first 3 months of this combat, everybody's still going to be freaking the freak out. They're going to be freaking out, right? But here's the thing. Although that bottom band sits us at 4,000, there is another level of support that has been in place since 2020 at 25K. So we got another safe territory at 25K. So let's just use that as our support, our wartime support, if you will. First 3 months of the conflict, price comes down. That's the traditional crash. That's the 55 to 65% crash. That's the one that shakes everybody out of the market. However, 3 months in, headlines, stories start coming out of how either the United States or Russia or the Ukraine is gaining an advantage by using Bitcoin. Okay? When those stories start to come out, that's going to instantly send the price of Bitcoin the other direction. It is now a tool for war. Okay? It's immediately going to take the Bitcoin from the status that it used to be to putting it literally right next to the US dollar when it comes to power and influence. When it comes to power and influence, okay? Because you gotta listen to the narratives. You have to listen to who they're talking about and who's being involved and in what position, guys. We know that we have to get to the utility era at some point. Okay, these meme coins, these shit coins, they are diluting the value of the market. They are causing people to lose money. We see rug pull after rug pull. OpenSea, just to name one. Wonderland, just to name two. We keep seeing this happen, and it's because these projects don't do nothing for anybody. That is affecting the market. So, there needs to be a shaking up. There needs to be a shaking up, and 2022 is going to be the year that it happens. Now, again, do not want you to fear. I do not. I am not in a state of fear because ultimately, and here's that line made of silver, if we do go down, here's our problem, our best weapon. We have spent the entirety of last year studying the projects that are going to run this economy after this is over. Because after this is over, like I said, like my bro said, when we get into conflict, the currency changes. Okay? Also with that, technology changes. That's the one that we're going to see first. And the technologies that are going to kick into gear, IoT, Web3. Let me look at my list. Hold on a minute. New DeFi, DeFi 2.0. Chronos just rebranded, and we already know, that's crypto.com, by the way. We already seen how their DeFi, their VPS finance is, it just streamed. It has officially streamlined the DeFi process. That's going to start a trend, okay? We've already seen Celo, VeChain, and so many others coming out with stable coins. All right. Now, Digibyte. Don't even get me started. All right. In Wyoming, digital ID, the UAE, all of that stuff. And on the subject of the UAE, the UAE and India are getting very, very, very close, and they're doing it for technological reasons. What I'm saying here, guys, is that I may have been wrong about the bottom. However, if I am, it is still a very great opportunity because, like I was saying, we know which assets will rise on the other side of this, okay? And depending on how long it lasts, our biggest weapon, our most valuable asset through it is going to be our knowledge of what's really going on. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this information with friends and family. If you're new to crypto, I have links to the most notable exchanges in the description. Using the links below supports the channel and comes with special bonuses for members of our network. For more information on the new economy, check out the playlist related to this episode on the right and our most recent episode on the left.
As always, have a great day. Have a prosperous day. Most importantly, we making this money. I'll see y'all in the next one.